Welcome to the Healing Heart Podcast, where all healing is always a matter of the heart. I'm your host, Dawna Campbell, also known as the Mind Whisperer, interviewing guest experts on all matters of healing. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here to the Healing Heart Podcast. And I am your host, Dawna Campbell. My guest today is truly exceptional in the world of healing. And I have to admire because she's in a particular modality that I started to learn and understand. And I just find it truly, truly fascinating. But first, Diane Konlin is the founder and CEO of Advanced Mind Health, a virtual no repeat. Did you guys catch that? No repeat client therapy practice. She specializes in helping high profile professionals eliminate self-sabotage thought patterns and addictions in only 1 to 3 sessions with a 99% success rate. How cool is that? So Diane practices Rapid Transformational Therapy, a new advanced form of psychotherapy based on the latest research in neuroscience that's quickly gaining global recognition as one of the most effective treatments available. Diane has been invited to contribute to numerous podcasts, speaking events, and publications to share her expertise on how to tap into the power of your subconscious mind for ultimate freedom. Welcome here to the show, Diane.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I'm a huge fan of yours as well. So it's a great pleasure to speak with you today.
Yes. So I want to start off by asking, because we all don't just go and wake up when we're born, oh, I'm a healer. Most of us have some sort of transformational experience that we go through, and then we find what works. And then we want to share it with the world naturally, because that's really about the healer's heart. So for you, what is a little bit about your background? How did you find out about Rapid Transformation Therapy and all the other things that you do? A little bit of your backstory and your transformation.
Sure. Well, actually, I found RTT because I was looking for therapy for myself. I was in a relationship for 27 years. My late husband, he passed away around maybe 10 years ago. And for the middle 15 years of our relationship, he struggled with bipolar depression, which developed into alcoholism. And I watched him suffer greatly. And as a spouse of someone who is struggling with mental illness and addiction, I mean, it was the 90s when I was going through it, and there was no help for spouses, let alone very much help for him, because there was a lot of stigma attached as well. And so I really learned a lot about his illness, mostly from him. He was a high profile, high functioning professional, and he was so well educated and extremely articulate at communicating what he was feeling. And he talked about his emotions. He talked about growing up in a shameful environment. He talked about growing up with a depressed mom and an alcoholic father. And years later, after he passed, it was probably about 2 or 3 years after he passed before I started grieving. And because I was a caregiver for so long and supported him emotionally for so long, that when he passed, I just felt this overwhelming sense of freedom. And I thought, I can do anything I want, anytime I want. And when I started to grieve, I went to a traditional talk therapist and spilled my guts. And I told that to her, and she said, let me guess, and you didn't do anything. And I thought, yeah, but what's going on? And it was like, oh, time's up. So I walked away from that session feeling a bit unsatisfied. And so I started looking for different kinds of therapy, and I found RTT. And it was through RTT that I not only healed myself, but I discovered how to heal others. So, and the thing is, it was fascinating information, and I was only on the surface. I just loved the science of it. I loved how it worked. I loved how you're able to tap into the power of your own subconscious mind, which is 97% of what drives our thoughts and our behaviors and our actions and our decisions. So learning all of this and understanding that we can align our conscious and our subconscious minds a lot more easier than we think. My clients all say, oh my gosh, if I knew it was this easy, I would have done it long before I spent thousands of dollars on therapy, So this is how I found it. But I still learn from my clients, Dawna. I mean, somebody asked me a couple of months ago when I did another podcast, they were like, what's your story? What's your signature story? And I thought, okay, well, yeah, let me think about this. I grew up in a peacekeeping role in my chaotic family where there was always arguments, fighting, sort of disorientation and tension. So I was always the one kind of placating, everything's going to be okay. And I knew very quickly how to communicate to people what they needed to hear. And this was when I was a child. And then I went into a very creative field where I worked with a lot of different personalities, many creative different personalities. And I kind of thought, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to communicate. I know how to manage. I know how to make people feel better. And this was even before I knew RTT. So that was kind of my journey. So when I found RTT, I was like, okay, now I'm home. I just dropped in exactly where I needed to be.
I love that. I love that. So you went through your transformation. You were discovering yourself, your silver lining gifts, all the things that you were receiving, and that you knew that you loved to help other people. Was there a defining moment for you when you realized that that was one of your gifts, to be able to help other people transform and heal? Was there that moment in time?
Yeah, I think it was more like a period of time when I first started to see paying clients. And even when I started to practice on other students, because as a student of RTT, you have to do many practice sessions before you are able to be certified and qualified and be able to be comfortable and confident enough to work with paying clients. And even in my very first practice session, I mean, I'll never forget it. The student was like, wow, oh my God, you're so good at this. Like, you grasped you knew exactly what to say. You gave me space. Like, her comments were just so helpful. And ever since then, that was, years ago, but ever since then, every client I really learned from, right? And that's the beauty of RTT, is that not only do you learn from your clients, but I say to my colleagues, I don't know if this is a spiritual connection or what, but sometimes I just start talking and I don't know where these things are coming from. I'm just saying exactly what they need to hear and how they need to hear it, and giving them the right space. And, Marissa Peer, who developed the method, teaches us to deal with what comes up, right? She gives us a bunch of tools and a bunch of training, and then we launch into it. And I've never felt nervous with a client. I've always felt very relaxed at dealing with what they say, with what comes up. And, because of that, I think there's got to be some kind of good fit here, right?
Right.
It just I feel like I'm in the right place. So,
I love that. Yes. And you were talking, it's so much an intuitive process, but yet also listening to what the client is saying and going through. So you know how to direct the conversation and what they need for their optimal healing. For our listeners who may not be familiar with RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, what is it and how does it work?
All right. Well, RTT was developed, I think Marissa Peer, the founder, she was a psychotherapist for over 30 years. And somewhere along her career, she became very interested in hypnosis. And so she started using that in her practice. And she was finding that she was healing her clients so much faster. And she was using traditional cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and neurolinguistics programming, NLP. But she was kind of upgrading the tools because these tools have been around for a very long time. And Marissa took them and went, I think I can twist these and advance them, because she's just that confident to make it much more powerful for my clients. And so this is how her tools started to develop. This is how her methods started to develop. And so essentially, it's like a regular psychotherapy session, although it's with the client in a very relaxed state. Because when your body is relaxed, this is a very natural state, hypnosis, that we fall into several times a day. It's what we call zoning out. Or when I say to people, it's the same thing as just being focused so intently on your thoughts that the external world kind of fades away. It's like pulling into your driveway and not remembering the last 10 minutes of the drive home. And you're like, how did I get here? Right? So it's that form of focus. And so when my client is that focused in a session with their eyes closed and their body is relaxed, their minds can really open up. And it can tell us both a lot of things, because when I ask questions, I say, it's not something that you have to think about the answer. Just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. And this is how we get to the root cause so quickly. And we ask their mind, what is the original root cause? Go back to a scene, event, or memory that is all to do with where your mind bought into this belief, or what is causing your anxiety or depression or addiction or whatnot. And sorry, not but we don't identify with the issues, right? And so when we can finally look at the root cause and then start to reframe it, and then start to question the beliefs that our subconscious mind is holding on to, and then we can start to unravel that. Because when you question a belief, I say to my clients, when you find something that's hiding, it goes away. It's like playing hide and seek. When you find the person that's hiding, busted, they don't have any power over you anymore, right? And then you regain your own power. And so you really do have power over your subconscious mind, but there's certain ways to communicate with it. It's through your language and visualization. And when you do that in a relaxed state, when you visualize that, and when I use powerful language, it goes even more deeper and happens quite quickly, which is why the rapid transformational part.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And yes, there is a process, but that process is all designed to get to the results that you're asking for. So we're going to take that quick sponsor break. And when we come back, we are going to talk all about results of what Diane does. Get what you always wanted. Abundant life is possible. Transform your lifestyle in just weeks with the most innovative system developed for heart-centered business professionals who seek change today. You are one step away from creating infinite prosperity, happiness, and love. Grab your bonus link now that's in the show notes. All right, welcome back to the Healing Heart Podcast, everybody. And my guest today is Diane Konlin, and we have been talking about rapid transformational therapy and what she does as a healer. Now, one of the questions that I want to know is, we were talking about getting results and how to get those results. And you say in helping people eliminate self-sabotaging thought patterns, addictions, with a no repeat client basis, but the client, you're within 1 to 3 sessions with them. So share with us some of the results and those silver lining gifts that others receive when they do this work with you.
Okay, yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I've had people come to me who have been in therapy for years, some of them since they were teenagers. And I love getting the texts and the emails saying, "You've changed my life. If I only knew about this before I spent thousands of dollars in therapy."
Right?
So I think the key, Dawna, is not only the session, but I leave my client at the end of the session with a 15-minute personalized audio recording. And they listen to that for 4 weeks, because how long do they say it takes to form a habit, right?
Mhm.
So it's the science of laying in those new neural pathways that override your old thought patterns that we've broken in the session. But the audio, so the session makes sure, the session does the work, and the audio makes sure that you stay that way. So I just had a message back from a client this afternoon who said, because this was her 1 week check-in. So she's been in therapy since I think she was like 13 or 14 for severe anxiety. And she's had terrible nightmares for years. She'll wake up in the middle of the night. And she just messaged me saying, okay, I slept right through the night with no nightmares, like half the days this week. And the other half, it was short ones. So she said, yes, it's working. So here's the thing: the longer you listen to the audio and you're grooming in those new neural pathways, the stronger and better she's going to become over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And that's what creates the permanent change. And like, I worked with a doctor in New York who struggled with addictions his whole life. And he had finally managed to beat them all, except for one. And he said, I still get these cravings or these urges, and I just want to get rid of those. So I helped him. And he texted me 48 hours later saying, it's gone. How did you do that? He said, I'm afraid though it's only temporary. And here's the beautiful thing about this, Dawna: when it's science and you're actually rewiring the neurons firing in your brain, then it becomes permanent. And I just caught up with him. This was about 6 or 8 months ago. And I just caught up with him a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, Diane, I cannot believe it. He goes, it's just rippled into more areas of my life. He goes, I feel better and stronger than I ever have. And it's all thanks to you. So it's these stories that I just, it kind of goes, all right, I'm doing the right thing now. So yeah, there's been many transformations. Anxiety, fears, public speaking, fears of being in front of the camera, fears of flying, or even performance mindset. If I work with CEOs who kind of say, I'm feeling as I get older that, I'm starting to lose my worth. They're starting to look at all of the young people coming up going, okay, where do I stand now? And women too, going through menopause, they feel that kind of shift in their biochemistry, shift in their hormones, which gives them a shift in their emotions. And they're like, I just want to feel as powerful as I did 10, 20 years ago. So I work with them, and yeah, it's true. I worked with one client and I said, I'll check in with you next week. She said, no need. Check in with me in 3 months. She said, that's it. I feel it.
Go.
It's done. And I checked in with her 3 months later. She's like, it's still amazing. Everything is fantastic. I feel like I did 25 years ago. So yeah, it's pretty incredible.
So listening to all of these different client stories and the different results the clients are getting and how their lives have truly transformed, I'm going to preface that with, I believe all healing is a matter of the heart. So even as a healer working with other people, you go through your own transformations every time you work on another person for them to have results. So is there one story or one client that really stands out to you that transformed your heart space even more to bring you silver lining gifts?
I think, To tell you the truth, Dawna, they all do. I mean, when I get the results that I do and I change people's lives, that's what I kind of set out to do. And now, I mean, it's only now since I've learned RTT that I'm learning about manifesting and all of the spiritual side of things. And I kind of look back at my life and go, I guess I was spiritual all along, because everything that I wanted in my life, I've attained. And you look back, and we all know to kind of go, okay, if I hadn't have done this, if I hadn't have failed at this, or if this door didn't close that I didn't want to, this one wouldn't have opened, right? We see our path and we kind of go, I know I'm exactly where I need to be. And so I think all of them change me in some ways. And I just get excited when clients reach out and say, I have this issue. Can you help me with it? And I like, yes, of course I can. I help like so many people with the same issue. And I just get excited going, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to help you. And, as long as they want to go on the journey with me, then that's the biggest part of it, right? Because I don't work with everyone, with people who are very resistant, who either kind of go, yeah, okay, well, prove to me you can help me, right? Like some people wear their pain as a trophy and they don't want to get better, even though they say they do. But if somebody truly wants to heal and get better, and they understand that on the other side of just this work, their lives can be so much better, then those are the people that I can work with. And the beauty of it is, it's not a lot of work. It's not a 6-month program, and I'm not like a traditional therapist. I won't say, drink more water and go for walks in nature, and which are all wonderful things to help us deal with our symptoms, but it doesn't get to the root cause. And that's what the most important part is when you get that root out, then you can start to transform, because with the root still in there, your mind is going to pull you back to your old patterns.
Yes. And I truly, truly believe all of that, because if you don't transform what's underneath it, you're just going to keep repeating. Yeah. It's like a record skipping every time.
Yeah, absolutely. But with this method, it's so fast and so easy. It's like my biggest marketing challenge is it sounds too good to be true. So, and with me, I'm a very business-minded, concrete person. Like I've always been my whole life. My parents are both in business, right? But I went into a creative field, and my parents were like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you becoming an accountant?"
Right.
My dad raised me with this, these ethics to question everything and be prepared and examine everything. And so when I find something that sounds too good to be true, I back away from it, right? And a lot of people can be like that with spirituality. It's like, too woo, right? Not going to go there, doesn't really work and whatnot. But with this method, it is science-based. Yes, there's a spiritual aspect to it. But with clients who are not very spiritual, I leave that out of it, and I strictly focus on their issues. With clients who are spiritual, they have that understanding that the universe is guiding them, right? So it works both ways, but it's very simple and fast process.
Love it. Well, we can hear the excitement and the passion coming through in your voice. You truly love what you do. And I love a lot of your responses and answers, because really it's all about transforming the world, transforming the people. And then what comes back to you with those silver lining gifts is really watching people live their best life ever, because they overcame their obstacle or their self-sabotage thought, and it reprogrammed in them. And that, I think, truly is what a healer's heart is all about, because it's really about watching everybody else's transformation, what they're doing, because life can be amazing. So how do people get in touch with you? How do we, schedule time and learn more, or maybe even become a client?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is Mind Health, and that's in Canada, so it's .ca. And there's lots of buttons where you can click on to get to my calendar to book a call with me. It's a free 30-minute consultation. And even if you want more information, like even if you're on the fence about working with me, you can just call me and get some more information, or meet me and say hi. Tell me what you thought of this podcast. And also just look at my Google reviews. I've got all 5-star reviews. I've got lots of great testimonials. On my Instagram is Advanced Mind Health. And on my LinkedIn page, I've got lots of great stories of transformation, and Facebook. And I love sharing.
All the fun places. I
All
love
the fun
it.
places.
So all of that information, everybody, is going to be in the show notes. So if you're listening to it, just go to the show notes and click, and it'll be there for all of you. Any closing words you would like to share, Diane?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people know, if anybody is struggling, I want you to know that it's not your fault. It's nothing that you're doing. It's nothing that you're doing wrong. People always beat themselves up for feeling badly, but remember, your subconscious mind is 97% of what's driving that. And so it's when you're trying to change the way you feel, when you're trying to change your habit of action without changing your habit of thought, you're doing it with only 3% of your decision-making power. So there's a way to get in there, to help yourself and to heal, to find the root cause, to make these discoveries, to make these connections. Most of my clients are blown away. They're like, I never would have thought of that, or I never would have made that connection. And now that I do, it's so clear now. And I say understanding is power. This is what Marissa is all about, is empower the client, and do that through understanding. And it's not your fault. So I can help you.
Love it. And that is perfectly said. So everyone, just reach out to Diane. The links are in the show notes, and go create that beautiful day now.